Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo de tu...
On the hunt for the narco soccer player, Marset, after 10 months of luxury in Bolivia. The Uruguayan entered the country in September 2022 using false documentation indicating that he was Brazilian. He is wanted by Interpol and the DEA, as well as by several countries in the region. Sebastian Enrique Marset Cabrera, a 32-year-old Uruguayan citizen, has become the most wanted drug trafficker in Bolivia, which has led to the mobilization of more than 2,250 police officers in different parts of the country, including border crossings, airports, and clandestine runways. Marset is being investigated in Colombia for being the alleged mastermind of the murder of a Paraguayan anti-drug prosecutor, and he chose Bolivia as a place to hide from justice, entering in September 2022 using a false documentation that identified him as Brazilian. The drug trafficker settled in Santa Cruz, along with his wife and children, according to the Vice Minister of Social Defense and Controlled Substances, Jaime Mamani. Bolivia and Paraguay had been working together for months in the search for Marset. Even a team from the Paraguayan police had previously arrived in Santa Cruz to coordinate actions with their Bolivian colleagues. Despite advances in intelligence investigations, on Sunday, July 30th, 8 luxurious properties were raided in different areas of Santa Cruz, but the drug trafficker had already managed to escape with his family. During the raids, the authorities found firearms, ammunition, bulletproof vests, vehicles, and various documents. Federico González, Minister of the Interior and Justice of Paraguay, reported in an interview with the ABC Color that Marset had fled to Cochabamba, according to information received from the Bolivian police. In line with this information, a team from the Criminal Analysis and Intelligence Department was checking vehicles at the Locotal checkpoint, and similar work was being carried out in other parts of the country. The departmental prosecutor of Santa Cruz, Roger Mariaca, has confirmed that Marset is being investigated for drug trafficking, kidnapping, and false material. A commission of prosecutors has been formed to find the whereabouts of the Uruguayan. The police have confirmed that the foreigner, also investigated by the courts of Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay, lived in Bolivia under the false name of Luis Amorin Santos. Record: Marset, who was born in Montevideo, Uruguay, on April the 10th, 1991, has earned a reputation as the leader of a drug ring. It is known that he possessed his Bolivian identity under the name of Gabriel de Souza Baumer. In October 2022, the Uruguayan justice issued an international arrest warrant for extradition purposes for Marset, due to his role in leading the drug network within the A. Ultranza Pi case. The mega operation carried out by the National Anti-Drug Secretariat of Paraguay in February 2022 is considered the largest against organized crime, international drug trafficking, and money laundering in the Uruguay. As a result, assets valued at $250 million were seized. More than 21,000 tons of drugs were confiscated and 24 people were arrested. Marset continues to be wanted for leading an international drug trafficking network that operates in Bolivia, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina, with Europe and Africa as destinations. In addition, the narco is also being investigated as the alleged mastermind of the murder of Marcelo Pezzi, a Paraguayan lawyer and prosecutor who had been investigating the A. Ultranza Pi case. For the past 10 months, the most wanted drug trafficker has been hiding in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, where he even created a second division soccer team and himself played for the number 23. He is also linked to a major anti-drug operation in Uruguay, where 265 kilos of cocaine hidden in wooden boards destined for Europe were seized in July. The value of the cargo amounted to $9.9 million, and it bore the name King of the South in Spanish, also known as the alias of Marset himself. Marset is considered extremely dangerous and is wanted by Interpol, the DEA, and several countries in the region, such as Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay. Marset had 3 identities and director of CEGIP sees trap in biometrization. They find another vehicle. Every day that passes, more details of the life of the Uruguayan narco in the country are known. Today, the director of the SECHIP de Santa Cruz, Al Pacino Mojica, revealed that the foreigner obtained 3 identity cards in national territory, questioning the biometric system in the country, since though it would have been possible to evade the real identification of the subject. This Tuesday morning, the police found another vehicle linked to the Uruguayan drug lord Sebastian Marset in a canal east of the capital of Santa Cruz, and it was learned through the Director of General Personal Identification Service that who upon arrival at Bolivia was one of the most wanted men by Interpol. He had 3 identity documents in national territory since he arrived in the country of Bolivia. The director of the SECHIP de Santa Cruz, Al Pacino Mojica, revealed that Sebastian Marset managed to have up to 3 identities, registering the first under his original name in 2019 and the other 2 with false names. The authority of the entity that provides identity documentation to national and foreign citizens indicated in an interview that the first time Marset arrived in the country of Bolivia, he registered with his original name, although he did not perform the biometrization by fingerprint, by a trick which could consist of putting half of your thumb in the registration machine. After said registration, the Uruguayan managed to obtain 2 other identities under another name. In one, he used the name of Gabriel de Souza Bauner, and in the other, corresponding to the management of Mojica, Marset decided to call himself Luis Paulo Amorim Santos. Who is Sebastian Marset, the Uruguayan drug trafficker that thousands of police officers are looking for in Bolivia, and who is in the crosshairs of Interpol and the DEA? He is the most wanted drug trafficker in Bolivia and is also required by the justice system of his native Uruguay, also Paraguay, Brazil, and the United States. To find him, Bolivia deployed a huge police operation involving more than 2,200 agents, the country government minister reported on Sunday. As part of the so-called Operation Marset, a series of raids have been carried out in the department of Santa Cruz, in the east of the country of Bolivia, on the border with Brazil and Paraguay, the official said. Marset Cabrera, a high-value drug trafficker for our entire region and the entire world, is being sought by Interpol, the DEA, by the countries of the region, such as Uruguay, Brazil, and also Paraguay. He also reported that the 32-year-old Uruguayan entered Bolivia in September 2022 and managed a second division soccer team from Santa Cruz. He added that he is still in Bolivian territory, along with his wife, Giannina Garcia Troche, also Uruguayan, and their 3 children. We are sure that in the next few hours we will achieve the arrest of Sebastian Marset Cabrera, declared Del Castillo. On Saturday, the commander of the Special Force to Fight Drug Trafficking of Santa Cruz gave details of an operation carried out that day in search of Marset Cabrera. He reported that the force, after receiving reports of Marset's presence in Santa Cruz, carried out a raid to capture him, but the operation was unsuccessful as Marset and his family managed to escape. The Uruguayan drug lord is the leader of the organization called the First Uruguayan Cartel, and in October 2022, within the framework of the mega operation A Ultranza PI, the Uruguayan justice ordered his international capture for extradition purposes. This operation, described as the biggest blow to organized crime and money laundering in Paraguay, was led by the prosecutor Marcelo Pecci, assassinated in Colombia in May 2022. Marset has been identified as the alleged mastermind, but so far no charges have been brought against him. Uruguayan media report that Marset was imprisoned in that country in 2013 for drug trafficking, and it was during the 5 years he spent in Libertad prison that he allegedly made the international contacts he needed to promote his criminal organization. After leaving prison in Uruguay, Marset had various occupations, both in his country and in Paraguay, including a professional football player and music producer. According to the newspaper El Observador, Marset was a professional soccer player for Deportivo Capiatá, a team that played in Paraguayan B, to which he paid $10,000 to play with the number 10 shirt. Just 2 years ago, Marset Cabrera was in jail in the United Arab Emirates, accused of using a forged Paraguayan passport, but managed to obtain his freedom using Uruguayan documents. Marset is currently wanted by the Interpol for allegedly transporting at least 16 tons of cocaine between Paraguay and Europe through Uruguay. Authorities in other countries accuse him of being one of the most powerful drug traffickers in the southern Cone region, transporting multi-ton shipments through Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay, and Bolivia to Europe and Africa.